Zoom. I don't run Zoom. I just join it.
Well, we have Finley and Ellie with us today to talk about defying gender roles, right? Or the article that you all wrote for the Apple Leaf newspaper, and I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
All right. My name's Ellie. I'm the in-depth editor of Apple Leaf. So the in-depth section is basically the main theme of our paper. So like what the cover is, and then the center spreads. I'm 18 and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm Finley Otley, and I'm a sophomore and a first-year reporter for the Apple Leaf. And of course, I love writing for Ellie's in-depth section. She's great. And my pronouns are she, her, and I'm 16.
Nice to meet you both. My name's Alex. I also go by Alexis, Lexi, Alice, just call me whatever. Pronouns are she, her. I've just joined the Wenatchee Pride Board actually recently. So I'm really glad to see where we go with this and get to learn more about what you guys did.
Well, that leaves just me to introduce myself. Hi, everybody. My name is Luce. I use she and they pronouns. I'm 23, if that's important. And I am the president of Wenatchee Pride. And I'm so happy that you all were able to join us today and answer some questions. We're really excited. It was an awesome piece you all wrote. Anything you all want to talk about the piece before we start in questions?
Yeah, gloat, come on.
I don't know.
I know Ellie put a lot of work into it, and both our editors, Lily and McKenna, they both put a ton of work into the paper, and I know we all work hard to produce it, and it was our first print issue of the year, so it was our first one we got to put out.
Yeah, it was super fun. We decided to pick a super strong topic just to really drive it home. And yeah, it was my first printed issue, so it was a little iffy. There's probably a couple of things I probably would have done differently, but it was super fun, and designing the pages and working with the reporters was so fun. Yeah, it was really cool to do.
That is awesome. I'll go ahead and let Ashley introduce themselves. Ashley, we're saying our name, our pronouns, and then our position within the board.
All right, I am Ashley. My pronouns are she, her. I'm new to the Wenatchee board, so I'm definitely still exploring what my best fit with the board is going to be this year. I primarily, in the past in my life, have done a lot of large events and a lot of fundraising, so I have a feeling I'm going to lean towards that way with the board once we're able to do more things.
Yes. Well, Ellie and Finley had already introduced themselves, and they were telling us that this was the first article they were able to put to print for the year, which is super exciting. You all did go all out for this, so that's super fun. So I'll start off with the first question. What sparked the idea to choose writing about this topic? Like, what was the choice? Why did you all pick this topic?
I mean, I wish I came up with it, honestly. But we have this pitching process in Apple Leaf where we have this massive document, and everyone will write in their ideas for each section of the paper. So we've got like news and features and in-depths and sports. And one of the in-depths was exploring gender norms and gender stereotypes.
Go ahead, Ellie, sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I really liked that topic. I felt very prevalent to our generation and our time, and Harry Styles just came out in vogue, and people wearing dresses and skirts on TikTok was all over the place, and everyone was loving it, and it just felt very fitting. And so yeah, I just chose that one for our first. And then Finley, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ellie. I felt like we picked this one because of the kind of like the Harry Styles, like Timothy Chalamet, like there was just a ton of gender norms being broken at the moment, and all sorts of that kind of related things. So we were like, this is most relevant for us right now.
That all sounds like really great reasons. It sounds like the process is hard, but you all are able to choose the best topic, right? Do you want to ask the next question, Alex? Or
Sure.
you have anything to add?
I just like that you kind of went with the trending topic. A lot of it is just kind of like it's something that's going on right now, and you wanted to touch on that rather than, in a sense, picking up something that isn't being spoken about and people aren't paying attention to at the very moment, because it catches a lot more eyes and it's listened to and read a lot more and perceived better, in a sense that they're looking for it. They're seeing that already. And that kind of helps with that absorption and understanding of what's going on.
I would like to add real quick. You guys mentioned TikTok and a lot of the trends on there of people wearing skirts and stuff. Absolutely love that you guys are seeing that platform and seeing the platform as something that is there for you and a support system globally for everybody. I really like that. I personally am just learning TikTok. Not very great at it, but it's really fun. And I think it's really cool that the youth and you guys have something like that, you know, my generation didn't have in high school. So awesome. Keep doing it. Keep using it.
Did you all want to add anything to the conversation we're having around this?
I would have to say that like it's definitely one of the more requested topics by like students. Like
Sure.
Whenever I'm like, oh, what do you want to see in the apple leaf? It's definitely something I hear about a lot. So just we always try and take the student recommendations or teacher recommendations too, and try and put those into the paper.
Yeah, we got a lot of really, really good responses after putting out this issue. We got a lot of students being like, wow, I love that we're talking about this. We should have done this sooner. And it was really cool to see Harry Styles on the cover because it made them want to grab it and read it. And yeah, so.
When you all put out the article, you know, and the topic, and you were mentioning youth really wanted this topic, were you all pretty supported by the staff as well?
I think so. Yeah, especially by the staff. And when we interviewed our principal, I think he was super supportive. I mean, we did get a lot of responses from parents who were a little bit worried, which is totally, you know, understandable. But this is a topic that we talk about every single day in school, and I think that it should be normalized, and I think it should be okay to talk about at school. And so, yeah.
That makes sense.
Awesome. I love it. I love it all.
Yes, exactly. Did you want to ask the next question, Alex?
Yeah.
There's nothing now.
Kind of curious about whether or not there's a lot of students in the Wenatchee High School that are defying gender norms or kind of bending those social rules, and what you guys see kind of on a daily basis.
I wish I was there more. I'm only there like every other day because Apple Leaf is my only class there because I'm at WVC. But one thing that I have noticed is how comfortable people are now, like coming back from quarantine with their style, and they just don't care. They're gonna wear whatever they want to wear. And I don't know if that's just from being at home for so long and being so comfortable with your preferences and like your style, or if that's just me, you know, noticing it now. But yeah, I definitely think people are doing it now, and they're way more comfortable with what they wear and their style, and just not caring what everyone else thinks and just doing what you want. I don't know.
Yeah, I think on a more like simple sense, like realizing that it's okay to like shop in the guys section too.
Oh yes,
like
me
I'm
all the
like
time.
I don't care anymore. Like I just shop wherever I want to shop. Like their clothing doesn't have a gender. If you want to wear something from the guys section, wear it. And I see a lot of girls wearing a lot more baggy clothes and whatever they want to wear. And I think it's great to see people doing whatever they want to do. And I'm at the high school a little bit more than Ellie is, and I definitely see people kind of just doing whatever makes them happy, and I think that's important.
That is so awesome to hear. Genuinely. Do you all feel like it's becoming more normalized? I know you all mentioned that being away from school kind of made people reflect and kind of introspect and be okay with themselves. Do you think it's more normalized and there aren't as many like negative comments or anything like that?
Absolutely, I think so. Yeah, especially just with our generation, and our generation is changing and our world is changing, and it's being more widely accepting of certain things. And then, yeah, just being at home for a really long time and, you know, having social media and stuff like that. I think people are, yeah, way more prone to wearing what they want to wear and just not caring.
Yeah, and like this time kind of gave people time that they weren't at school to kind of find themselves. And I also think kind of also the school, like the teachers at school and administration kind of, they've always been pretty open about letting students wear whatever they want to wear. Ever since I've been at the high school, there hasn't been a dress code. But recently they kind of started putting out statements. I'll read this one. This one says, school is a place of learning, and we want every student to wear clothing that makes them feel safe and comfortable with themselves. The district supports students dressing in a manner that is consistent with their gender identity or gender expression. So they're kind of pretty open, and they kind of changed the dress code to be non-gendered, which I thought was a really good step forward.
That's really awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So awesome to hear. Hopefully it spreads to all schools.
All right. So the next question we have for you guys is, do you think the students at Wenatchee High School, and this is kind of redundant, we kind of just talked a little bit about it, but go a little further, the students are supported at your high school with their gender expression? And if so, how? How do you guys see it on a daily basis and the support that's given?
I like to think that we are. With that interview that we did with our principal, it was super, super great to hear how supportive the response was. But at the same time, we had no idea what we were going to get when we went in there. And so I think that just kind of goes to show that we should be talking about it more, or that it should be a normal topic. And that we should just be more educated on what our administrator is gonna, you know, the response they're gonna give for this kind of stuff. I think they're supportive for the most part, but I think there's always room for improvement. But just like with anything, I don't know. Finnley, what do you think?
Yeah, going into this in-depth, I knew they were going to be interviewing our principal, and as somebody who's never like had the desire to change their pronouns, I have never like needed to do that route. And we have this program called Skyward, and that's where our grades are and what teachers see. And I had no idea that you could change like your name on Skyward and your pronouns, which I think is great. Like, I think it's amazing we have these steps you can take just by talking to our administration if you want to your teachers to identify you in a different way. So I think that was really cool to learn about.
Right. I think it's awesome that it's making that everybody within the school system is making it easier for you all to change names, pronouns, how you want to be talked about. And to, I know that you all feel like you all are pretty supported at Wenatchee High School, and that's really great. Do you think that there's anything else that people could do to support students that kind of are exploring or bending within the gender spectrum / that area?
Yeah, I think they could always do more. Again, I think it's just educating us that that's an option, and that there's support in that school, because at the same time we didn't know until we did our research and we went and we asked people. I think it's something that we should be like, they should tell us instead of us having to go and find it out for ourselves. So I think that's probably a big improvement that could be made, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think, just there should be more information. We should kind of change the way we're teaching and add curriculum about how to be yourself, I guess. Yeah. And I think we need to remind, and I think teachers and students should remember that, like, kids are changing. Like, high school is kind of when you're trying to find yourself, and if you want to identify one way one day, but then you change the way you feel about yourself the next, like, you kind of have to understand that people are finding who they are. High school's hard. It's hard to find your place in the world.
I know you mentioned like curriculum and teachers and staff just being more open and like sharing that information. Is there anything else you all feel that Wenatchee High School or just everybody at large as a community could do to support students that kind of fluctuate in their gender expression and define gender norms?
I mean, yeah, I think just opening up the conversation and having programs and maybe even clubs or just people at the school who are there to talk about this kind of thing. I would love to see some more programs or clubs that are rooted in this kind of thing. Just so students know that they have that spot they can go to talk about this specific topic. But yeah, I don't know. Finley, what do you think?
Yeah, I know we have a couple clubs, but it's hard it's hard to know that these clubs exist. Like, I feel like there needs to be more, and obviously joining clubs has been hard right now because of COVID and everything. And we're having a club fair soon. So hopefully that they'll have a lot of those booths out and that information available for students. But I think just like giving staff and students leeway, because we're all trying to figure this out and work to improve our schools and I think the way we teach and the way we look at each other. So yeah.
So overall, would you say like administrative support from, you know, teachers, all the administration, and even peers, is that becoming more of a visible thing that people of all genders anywhere on the spectrum are seeing that? Or is that something that people are still having to look for those little signs and pressing the matter to find out that information? I know you kind of touched on not really knowing some of these things until you did the research and asked those questions, but I'm just curious now that you've done that, are you seeing things more or like more visible for people, or is that kind of still that subtle support?
I think it's more of the subtle support. I mean, we saw a little bit of a change, but I mean, this is kind of a big thing, and it would need a lot of change over like a period of time, probably. I would love to see more support and more change, and I think that will happen in the future. But I mean, this has been a weird year, and so I totally get it. But
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's still more on the side of a subtle support.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think the change is going to be slow because obviously not everybody in the community is supportive. It's hard. And I think it's important that we change the way we talk about stuff like this. And I think it should be something that's talked about often in schools and that isn't a taboo subject anymore.
Absolutely. Yes, I completely agree.
Gotcha.
I'll agree with that. Oh, did you want to add something, Ashley?
No, that's all for me.
No, I absolutely agree that there's still work to be done and it is slow going. I was one of the original members of the GSA in Leavenworth back in my day, dating myself a bit, but things have gradually gotten better up in that part of our county. But again, there's still work to do. And I love that you guys are patient and understanding that it's not going to be overnight. And I really like that you guys are willing to continue to work on it and accept the slow going movement of it. I think that's really big of you guys, and good job.
So the next question that we have kind of ties into the conversation that we're having, but people have been defying gender roles and gender norms and all that stuff since the beginning of humans, but it's a really hot topic right now, as you all know, with Harry Styles and all the people in pop culture that are pushing those bounds, either femme or masc or in the between. And a lot of these people are fighting against these gender stereotypes. Do you all think you fight against these gender stereotypes?
I like to think I do, honestly, but I don't know if I do. I wear what I want to wear, you know, whether it's I'm going to wear a dress one day or I'm going to wear a sweatshirt and flannel and baggy jeans the next day. I think it's super important just to be your authentic self and just to wear what you want to wear and just do it just because you do, not because other people do, or because you're expected to wear something. But maybe I do, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Like what I was saying earlier, where now I just shop wherever I want to shop. Like yesterday, I wore like a totally pink outfit, and today I wore baggy jeans and a huge sweatshirt. Like, I think it's just, I don't know. I just wear what I feel confident and comfortable in, and I don't really care about what others think about me or, yeah.
So you guys mentioned Harry Styles a lot. Are some of the other celebrities that come to mind would be like Jaden Smith, Lil Nas X just made some big news lately.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish. I mean, a lot of these people are those people that you like actively listen to or look up to. Are they people you follow on TikTok? I know that's something we talked about already. It was a big platform for you guys. Is that kind of where you're finding a lot of this, and is that like a strength, and does that help you guys with some strength and like confidence to do what you're doing?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, it's also our generation is, it's being more widely accepted just to wear what you want to wear. And it's super great that we're looking at people who have a lot of influence and who are celebrities and who are doing it too. And so, yeah, it's a huge support, and it's great to see that they're doing it, and that we get to do it. And
yeah, for me, it's like not only seeing them on TikTok, but then especially with like Harry Styles, seeing him on Vogue, like these huge companies. Like Vogue is like what fashion is, and fashion is putting somebody defying gender norms on their front cover. And I just think seeing those mainstream companies develop different ideas really inspires me and makes me think that change will come.
yes.
Do you all think that having more people like in mainstream media will increase the amount of youth that kind of push those gender norms and those gender boundaries that have been put on them?
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the other big things is like then parents are seeing that too, and they're like, "Oh, my favorite magazine supports this, then I should support it too." I think it helps not only change the opinions of the youth, but also get to more people in the world. Because like, I know my parents don't really use TikTok, so I know when they see it on these other places. Yeah.
So, I mean, there are a lot of new celebrities. Well, not new, but newer faces that we're seeing. And then there's also some of the older celebrities who we're used to seeing that are kind of really changing things up and having that voice that they haven't had before. And whether that's always been their ideal or it's new to them, but they're embracing it and they're really pushing for something. So, anything else to add on that one, Ashley, Luce? No,
I think I'm ready for the next question if you guys are.
Yeah, of course. It was covered a lot in the dangers of confining children to gender norms and how there are a lot of households that are now raising their kids to live without that pressure on them. Do you think that schools could benefit from taking that same approach that those households are starting to take?
Absolutely, I think so. I'm not like a huge thing for me is treating someone as a person first and their gender secondary, if that. And so, yeah, I think it could be a huge thing. And we're already seeing it a little bit. But yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was the one that wrote that article, and researching that, I was like, wow, this is something I've never heard of before. Like, just, I thought it, because like thinking about to my childhood where, I was wore dresses and pink and everything, and thinking about how these kids are raised and they get to choose what they want and how they feel about themselves. I was really cool. And I think it's going to be a slow change again, getting teachers to ask pronouns and do that sorts of stuff. I went to a Model United Nations conference earlier this year, and they asked your pronouns, and you had to have your pronoun in your Zoom name. So I thought that was really cool, like seeing that was a totally student run conference, and seeing how kids of our generation are wanting to make that change.
I think you guys are doing a great job with, you know, a lot of my generation is a lot of your teachers and stuff that we dipped our toes in. You guys are definitely kicking up more water than we were, which is great and what's necessary. And I'm glad that you guys have the support system that you do at your school. And I like that you're noticing like in your families also that they're seeing new things. I like hearing that. I'm a mother as well. And so there are things that they see that I don't see. And it's cool to know that you guys also are seeing us learning from you, from your generation. It's pretty awesome to know that you really are being quite the leaders, and keep it up.
Very well said. Very
exactly. I was gonna say, do you all think that school kind of, or do you all see any examples of where school kind of reinforces gender norms instead of staying away from them? And like, can that change? Is there like is there a solution for changing that?
I mean, I think we definitely see it. I mean, with our school, with the dress code, we're super lucky that they started changing that. But I know a lot of schools, they still have that dress code thing. And I know, I mean, what my experience, I grew up with like 4 brothers. And so like that, I was just a huge tomboy. And then I went to school and I had to wear a dress like every like single like Friday and Monday because I went to a private school. And so I don't know. I think there's always room for improvement. And I think, I don't know exactly what they can do. I feel really lucky that at WGS, they're not super strict when it comes to gender. I know that they used to be in the past, but I mean, I think that's pretty normal for most schools. But I don't know the specifics on what they could probably do more. I don't know, Finley, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, oh my gosh, I think the dress code thing is amazing. Like, we're in school, I don't understand dress codes. I really don't. Like, what makes you confident? You're not going to distract anybody by what you're wearing. And another thing I know they did this year, but I know they've been okay about it in the past, using whatever bathroom you want. And they put signs out earlier this year. I don't know if they're still there, just saying you can use the bathroom, but you have to like stick to that bathroom because I know that's something they've supported. And I know there's probably plenty of things that we don't see that could definitely be changed, because sometimes it's hard to notice things that you're used to that need to be changed.
Yeah, and especially this is a topic because I've never been in the position where I'm changing my gender or my pronouns or anything like that. So I think it would be super beneficial for the people at our school to ask those people and to get those input, because it just needs to be talked about. And like someone like me, I'm talking about it, but at the same time, there's so many things that I'm never gonna understand or I'm never gonna know what to go next, just because I was never in that position. And so I think it'd be crazy important to talk to those people and to talk to those students at WHS who are going through this. And so
yeah, I totally agree. Like, I've never had to experience it, and I can't even imagine, like, because I know there's some students that are also very conservative at our high school, and I can't imagine. I know the bullying is hard for some of these kids that are defying these gender roles. I see it and I hate it, and I think that's somewhere we need to improve on. And I can't imagine. I know there's probably so many things they see that I don't see.
I'd really like to touch on that, what you just said, Finley. Bullying, just real quick. Have you noticed since, you guys have been back in, well, partially in school at the building and whatnot, that has there been less bullying? And after you guys wrote this, what are you guys seeing now?
I myself have not seen a whole lot of bullying, especially after this issue. One thing that I'm noticing is that people are talking about it, which was the whole reason is why we did it. But again, I'm not there every single day, so I don't know. I like to think that things are better, especially this year, going back to school and after this whole year that we had. And then also after putting out this issue and us really driving it down that there's support in our school. But yeah, I don't know, Finley, have you seen anything?
I think it's a lot better now that there's half the amount of students, half the amount of time. I think there hasn't been as much, like you don't have time to really, I don't have really very much time to socialize with my friends even. So, but obviously in this generation, the bullying's not really happening in person. It's basically all online.
For sure.
It's happening when you post something on Snapchat about somebody, or you talk to friends trashy about somebody behind their back. That's kind of when it happens. It's definitely more online than in person.
Okay.
So this next question is going to kind of tie into this. As I mentioned earlier, I was one of the original members of the GSA in Leavenworth. And that did wonders for our school. Like night and day, things changed. It was really hard at first, and there was a lot of backlash, but it did do really well. And I know times are totally different than they were then. Do you think Wenatchee High School would benefit from starting a GSA of their own?
Could you kind of explain what a GSA is? I'm not,
Yes.
I don't know, I've never heard of a GSA.
GSA, there's also other clubs, QSA, but it's the Gay Straight Alliance. So it's a place for anyone who falls into the alphabet mafia category, but as well as allies. So it gives a chance for the whole school and anyone who wants to come together. I was an ally in school. I didn't really come out into my form until I was in my late 20s. So I was more of the A part of the GSA, and like I said, it was kind of tough at first, but there's also the, QSA, which is the Queer Straight Alliance. Similar, there's just an overall umbrella of a rainbow club. Again, similar style. It's getting, everyone involved instead of being like, this is secluded for this one group. It's kind of everybody together and working together to do a lot of these like events and changes in the school that you want to see happening.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that GSAs are also going by the name Gender Sexuality Alliance, just to kind of be more inclusive in that way. But yeah, do you all think Wenatchee High School would benefit from a club like that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, especially just because, I didn't know what it was. I think that would do wonders for our school. And like they said, night and day. It would be night and day if we did it at our school. That'd be something that I would love to talk to a whole bunch of people and to put together and to establish in our school. I think that would do great.
So as Wenatchee Pride, we are looking at how we can help schools to get these started. I do know that you'll need teachers and staff. So if you think you already know some staff who would be willing to kind of do that, keep them in mind. And I think we unanimously as a group would love to help see that happen when it can happen.
Yeah, I know we've transitioned through quite a few similar clubs at Wenatchee High School. I know we have an support group called LGBTQ plus Triple Point, and it's like a Zoom with a counselor, and we were going to do a story on it. I think there was an interview done, but I don't know if it ever got written. But I don't know too much about it, but I know the flyer goes out in our school emails, and I'm pretty sure it's more of a support group than a club. And actually, I just saw this on Instagram today, actually. We just got a club called Equity Club approved, and it's basically talking about females in STEM, and I think there's an LGBTQ plus side to it too, but we don't really have anything like that where allies and everybody else can meet and talk about changes that can be made. I don't think we have something that can talk about changes and then bring that to administration. And I think that's definitely something that we could highly benefit from at the high school.
Funny that you brought up Triple Point. I am the Triple Point facilitator. And you are right that it is a support group. And I'm so glad that you remembered it. Yay! And that is a great resource. I would love, like Ashley said, like Ellie said, to see something more in school, of course, always, because like you all are interacting all the time, and real change occurs within, right? So yeah. Any other input or questions from anybody else?
I just want to say, from a standpoint, even though, you know, it's been 10 years, I don't know how many years it's been since I graduated. It's been long enough that I stopped counting. That as a, you know, somebody who is in the closet for over 15, 16 years, and going through middle school, junior high, high school and stuff like that, it would have been very beneficial to know that, hey, like, I'm not suffering alone, like, you know, literally walking down the hallways, you know, hiding myself, and knowing that that would have been a possibility. And I'm sure that students now would definitely be able to benefit from something like that, to be able to talk about it. And like you said, to kind of implement that change and to get those balls rolling, to get those things started with the administration, to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
And I will let you guys know when, and this is granted what we did, and so you guys could do your own thing. We would often do like our own spirit week in like October, but there's a lot of cool stuff that we were able to do. Like we did a cake smashing thing one time for homecoming. That was super fun, but Leavenworth always does cakes for homecoming. I don't know, it's a weird thing. But we did our own cake, like every grade did theirs, and then we did our own super awesome rainbow sparkly cake. And like there's a lot of fun things you can do with having a club like that gets everybody included and gives everybody kind of the chance to be like, you know what, I do support you, I just don't want to be the front of it.
Like you said, and like you all know, which is why we brought that question up anyways, it's like it creates a space, and changes, like you said, it's night and day. It creates a change within, and eventually throughout. That's the beauty of it. So we have one last question that we actually wrote down, and then we'll open it up for any other questions, anything you all would like to say. So the question is, I know that we talk a lot about intersections, right? Being people that never needed or have had to either change where they go to the bathroom or pronouns or anything like that. Another major intersection of gender identity is race and ethnicity. I know that we bring up Harry Styles and Timothée Chalamet when there's so many Black people and Black men who have been defining gender roles for a very long time, and Black women and people of color through all the spectrum. So I guess my question is, how will we keep the conversation going to include the people that sometimes don't feel included in these spaces? Yeah, I guess that is the question.
Honestly, I'm not completely sure. I think just the hugest thing is just to keep talking about it. And that thing about starting a club, about starting a GSA, I am definitely going to go to school tomorrow and I'm going to look into it. Because I think that would be so, so, so beneficial for our school. And this is a huge, huge, huge topic that is very prevalent in our generation and in our world. And I think that it should be normal. And I think that I don't know. I think that we should just be okay talking about it at school. We talked about it in our issue and we got some backlash on it, and some people were really worried that we were talking about this. But I don't know. I think it should be a very, very normal thing that we should be able to feel comfortable about talking and showing our support in school. So yeah, I'm not completely sure. I would love your input on it though.
Yeah, I think just like trying to be more inclusive at the high school. Like I know that's been something they've been working on, and we have several clubs that help with inclusivity at our high school. And I mean, we had ASB elections today and really didn't see that much diversity. It was all just, our ASB elections really are just a popularity contest, and it would be nice to see actual student body represented via our class presidents and stuff, because I know you know, most of our student body is pretty 50-50. Like it's not just, yeah. So I think that's the first step, would be improving our inclusivity at the high school in terms of both of those. So yeah.
Totally valid. Oh, go ahead, Ashley.
So on the topic of like intersectionality, do you guys understand what that means? Is that like, I had to Google it, so that's why I'm asking. And I still have questions all the time, but do you guys have an understanding of what intersectionality itself is and what that involves?
I do a little bit. I don't know if I know the exact definition, but I kind of have a feeling of what it means. But you can explain, just in case.
Okay, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Lose is great.
These conversations rather than just, you know, hitting it really hard right now and then having it possibly fizzle out later on.
Yeah, I think just like continuing the conversation and things like the Apple Leaf, because Apple Leaf goes out to every student. And I think like teachers including stuff in emails. And I actually the other day we're kind of doing a climate-based issue next. And I talked to Ellie I did an interview with this, I think her name was Chelsea Murphy from Leavenworth, and she talks about intersectional environmentalism. And I was like, Ellie, I did an interview with her. We have to add her into this climate change thing, because intersectionality is something that's not as included in environmentalism. So she was literally one of the most amazing people I've ever talked to. And the interview was
Talk
amazing.
about a strong woman.
Yeah, she's amazing. So yeah, I just think trying to include this kind of stuff in the Apple Leaf as much as we can and getting it out to the students, and yeah.
Alex, would you mind repeating your question one more time?
If I can remember it. I'm really bad at remembering things that I say. So it was kind of based on that. I was following up with Luce on talking about continuing the conversation about intersectionality with gender identity and race and ethnicity, and tying that in with conversations being hit too hard sometimes, or not being hit hard enough, and having those conversations sometimes fizzle out, not lasting very long, or some things that are, you know, they are able to be stretched out and that conversation continued on and normalized. But I personally have noticed that, you know, a lot of those conversations of all types, you know, not just about LGBTQIA plus individuals, but just overall conversations being hit so hard so quickly that people put all their energy into it right then and there, and it's not stretched out into a normalized thing to be talked about.
Did you have anything to add about that, Ellie?
Oh yeah, or I can add something and then Ellie can go in. I was actually talking about this during my English class the other day. We finished To Kill a Mockingbird, and we were talking about how on social media, like kind of the Black Lives Matter movement was hit so hard on social media, and you see people reposting stuff and all this stuff, but you're like, are they just reposting that and not actually going into the movement? And I think a huge thing is actually doing your research and actually getting attached to a movement and fully divulging your attention into it, and not just posting something on social media. I think actual research and taking the time to figure out what an organization does and what a movement is doing and sticking with that movement is a very important thing to help stuff not fizzle out. Because we were talking about, is it more important for a ton of people to be posting on social media and a ton of people to know about a movement, or for a lot of people to be deep rooted into a movement? So I think that really helps stuff to stay in your mind and to actually form change.
Yeah, and we're talking about it, but at the same time, a lot of us aren't doing a whole lot, like physically. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we need to really get in there and we need to talk about it, but also be doing things physically. So we need to be talking to our administration and putting things together so that way students know that we're there. Because again, we had to do all this research and we had to go ask all these big questions to all these people to know the information. And I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be information that students just have at their disposal, and they should just be able to know. So whether that's having a club or a program or a group of students that are there that are putting things together, or having a club or a social media or anything, I just don't think that students should have to go and look for it. I think they should just know that it's there for them and that the support is there. I don't know. But yeah, and that's kind of what we were trying to do, the start of a little bit of a movement with Apple Leaf, of just getting it out there physically for people to look at and for people to read, instead of just doing it by mouth and just talking about it, because sometimes I can only go so far, and like you said, it just kind of fizzles out. So yeah.
Well, that was beautiful responses. Do we have any other questions before we thank our interviewees?
I think you guys are doing great. And I'm very excited to see all that Wenatchee High School does with the future, and your guys' beginning of a movement that's very positive and great for everybody.
Yeah,
good work.
Exactly, good work. We were so glad that you're able to meet with us. Thank you so much for your time, Finnley and Ellie, and answering all of our questions.
Yes, definitely.